Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going today? Coach Alvarez here, back at you with another episode, Coffee with Coach. It's a good Saturday morning. It's beautiful over here in Austin, Texas. Nice weather, sun's out. Good stuff, man. So I hope you woke up early, got the mind in the right place. But if not, let's help put it in the right place. So I do the same thing every morning. You know, I just kind of straighten up the house, clean up, morning Laro. And I always just go outside. One of the first things I do is look at my yard. It's just because I water it every day. I normally don't water it every day, but for the last couple months, I've had to do that because I had some new grass put down recently. And some of the new grass that I had put down, I didn't actually do it. I had someone else do it. But the one part of the yard, which was the main part of the yard, came out really nice, like really green, nice, thick roots, like looks great. But by the mailbox, that strip by the mailbox, I keep looking out the window because that's where my yard is at. The new grass that they put down looked horrible. Like it just wouldn't grow, right? Like it just wouldn't grow. And it was growing, but it was growing like full of weeds. So I called the guy out and I was like, hey, you know, like, did I just get some bad grass or like what's the deal? Because this grass that you brought me over here came out like really nice, you know, like I didn't really have to do a whole lot to it, you know. But the other part by the mailbox just looked horrible. It was like really patchy, dry, full of weeds. And like I get this stuff called Scott's Green Max, I think is what it's called. It's supposed to like have deep roots and, you know, give you greener grass in like 3 days and blah, 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 right? So anyways, I kept doing it like every week. And you're not supposed to do that, right? But I was like, I got to kill these weeds because it's really irks me. It's kind of like what I was talking about, like with the dishes in the sink episode I did a couple days ago or whenever it was last week. Like piling up dishes in the sink just starts to like frustrate me, like clutter my mind a little bit because I'm in a messy atmosphere, right? So when I pull up to my house and my yard doesn't look the way it should look, that irks me, that bothers me because it needs to look like everything needs to be congruent. The outside needs to look like the inside, and just like the outside, the way I look, shave, clean my, you know, clean cut, like my head needs to be like same way, like clear, like together, you know. So it's really hard trying to do all that, but once you understand that you need to do all that, you try to put all those things in place. So when I pull up to my yard, it needs to be like one of the best yards on the block for sure. Walk into the house, it needs to be clean, no dishes in the sink, everything's in order, and I need to look a certain way. Can't be looking all rough and scruffy and not looking like I don't care, because if it looks like I don't care, then I probably don't care, right? Like if I don't care about myself, like my own image and how I look, then I probably don't care about a lot of other things, right? So I make sure that's on point too. So everything has to be together. So anyways, I got that piece by the mailbox finally looking the way that it should. But it took months and months and months and months of me like, you know, putting the weeding feed down and pulling weeds out and like putting this iron, you know, this Green Max into my yard. And I want to read something that's on the package that relates to, you know, just life itself. And it's, you know, I'm just using this as an example. And the picture, I wish I could show you the picture, but the first picture on the bag is like full of weeds, right? Dandelions, clovers, like all this stuff, right? And then the second picture, it starts to like clear up. And then the third picture, you got this tall green grass, no weeds, thick roots, everything is good. But it says feed regularly. Regular feedings provide the nutrients your lawn needs to look its best and withstand the stresses of weeds, heat, drought, and family activity. Okay. And I say that because one of the podcast, the episode that I had yesterday, kind of relates to that. You know, the stresses in the family activity that was going on. This person was really just, their morning started off really bad, and then they kind of try to pull me into that mix, and I'm like, hey, you're taking away from my morning and killing my morning with some nonsense, right? So I had to kill all that noise, because if not, I would have sat there for another hour or so, probably listening to some nonsense, right? So let me run that back. Regular feedings provide the nutrients your lawn needs to look its best and withstand stresses of weeds, heat, drought, and family activity. Then it says well-fed lawns are more efficient at using available water, feeding food, helps grow a thick lawn, better roots, better absorb nutrients than unfed lawns. To protect your lawn against heat, drought, and other stresses, remember your lawn will begin to wilt when water is needed. As much as possible, take advantage of the nutrients from the sprinkler, water and all that other stuff. So what I'm getting at is kind of relates to yesterday. This individual that called me up yesterday and was just kind of venting about some things isn't doing the weeding feed on a regular basis. They're allowing things to bother them too much, little things. So what do? You got to pull the weeds out. You got to pull the weeds out constantly. Like I heard that analogy a long time ago, and it's just something that just always stuck with me. So I just figured I'd share it with you guys today, because whatever around you is messy or full of weeds needs to be pulled, needs to get rid of. It could be friend, family member, someone that's talking negative, a negative, whatever atmosphere you're in, those weeds needs to go. Whatever is in your mind needs to be pulled if it's negative, and you have to be self-aware of that. You have to, like the Jocko thing, detach, step back for a second and be like, man, look at the way that I'm acting, or look at the way that I'm talking, or look at the way that I'm being. I need to pull those weeds out and like add some nutrients in there, like water it and feed it with some good stuff, because if not, the weeds will overtake it. And on the package of this stuff that I got, it says, the thickness of the lawn, when you feed it right and water it right, will push out the weeds. And man, like that's life. Like that's just the way my brain works. Like that's the way I see it. That's why I have the stuff on my desk the way I have it, these books, and that's why I read the stuff to you that I read, or I share these things with you, because it's like every single day, the brain, the mind needs to be watered and fed the right way with nutrients. Because if it's not, if you're just listening to music every day, like regular radio stuff, and you're watching the news every day, and you're just watching movies on Netflix, and you're just listening to your friends complain about life and how it ain't fair and all this other stuff, that starts to overcome your mind. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is. So you have to pull all those things out. Like it just amazes me. Like in the wintertime, it could be cold, no sun, cloudy, no rain, and there's like weeds growing, but your grass is dying, right? Your grass is dying, or it's dead already because it's wintertime. It turns yellow because there's no sun, there's no rain, and it's cold, right? But weeds will still grow. No matter what, weeds will still grow. So I got to go out there all the time, pull the weeds out. So hope that helps. If you got like a yard, your yard shouldn't look disastrous. It shouldn't look patchy. It shouldn't look dead. It shouldn't look, like you don't care. Because if it looks like you don't care, and it is patchy, brown, and it's dying, what else around you is that same way? Like, again, when I pull into my driveway, it feels good to see my yard look like that, because that's like or let's say I pull out, right? Like pull in and pull out of the driveway. That's a good signal for me that, like, man, things are growing the way they're supposed to be growing. You walk in the house and things are really neat and organized. That's a good sign, like things are the way they're supposed to be, because I used to be the opposite, really didn't care. And, I did have that where just day after day I would walk up to my front yard at the other house that I was at, and the yard looked horrible. And I just kind of let it go. I got it to a certain point, but then after that, I just didn't stay on top of it. And I just come to realize, like, man, life's the same way. My mind is the same way. Like I could do all this stuff, do all these episodes and these stuff, read all these books, but the second that I stop doing this stuff, it scares me, because it's like, I know the weeds are going to grow, because they're going to come. Like all the negative stuff that I pushed out is all going to come back, right? So if that's you, you're having some issues with just kind of keeping your mind on track, then that's a good sign you're not watering it right. You're not feeding it right with the right nutrients and the right things. If you feed it right, you water it right, it will push out all the other things that you don't like and that you don't need around you, so that you can move forward and progress and everything else. So, again, some of this stuff might just go right over your head, because you're like, yeah, forget that. I ain't doing that with my yard. And I don't care if my house is messy, and I don't care if I have dishes in the sink. But for those other individuals who are just looking for just something to just, push them in the other direction, then this is it, because I'm just sharing with you all the little things that I do or the way I think that kind of helps me put me in the right direction. Again, not perfect, but this stuff definitely helps. Getting rid of all the stuff out of my garage, throwing out so many things, not hoarding things, really just cleared up a lot of stuff for me, like not only physically, but mentally. And now that I got rid of the dish rack and there's no dishes in the sink, that really helps. And now that my yard is looking the way it looks, that really helps. My car's got to be clean. Like everything just has to be folded neat and just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like it has to be that way. So if you have messy things around you, you have a patchy lawn, dead grass, what else around you is like that? And how are you thinking? All right. So Saturday morning, got to get back to work. Got some things to do. Actually, I got to wash a couple cars right now. Get those all shined up and cleaned up. So water the yard, feed your mind with the right nutrients, pull those weeds out of your head and start feeding it with the good stuff. But once you feed it with the good stuff and you see that it's growing and it looks, your mind is in the right place, you can't stop. You can't stop. You got to keep it going, because if not, those weeds are going to come right back. All right. So you guys have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, and a great weekend. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you.